Broncos Country! The Denver Broncos put on an absolutely masterful performance against the Los Angeles Chargers this last Sunday, now bringing us within one game of the division leader, Kansas City Chiefs. Can the Denver Broncos, let's just say it, the playoffs are in sight. We can see them. We can taste them. But can the Denver Broncos actually win the AFC West? It may be a little bit improbable, but it's very possible. Guys, this is the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast. This is going to be a lot of fun. Let's go!
Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast.
Whoa! What's up, Broncos Country? And how are you doing, Orange and Blue crew? And welcome to the Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue podcast here on the Orange and Blue Network. I am your host, Johnny Baki, the Mile High Viking, and with me, as always, my cousin, my favorite wino, the Denver Dream, Jay Weaver, the Dream Weaver. Yeah!
Good evening, gentlemen and scholars about.
The man sipping his wine.
Absolutely. You got to class it up. I'm wearing a hockey jersey tonight, so I got to class it up with some wine, just like John Michael Lyles. So.
I never thought about John's wine. His wine
cellar.
Yeah, his wine cellar. That's what it is, right? Yeah. I forgot all about that. I get it now. Now.
Yeah.
Well, just in case that's a little too classy for you, please make sure you show some love to the sponsor of tonight's show, Dubby Jitterless Energy Blend over on Dubby.gg. The link is in the bio below. Guys, jump on over to Dubby and get yourself the dub with a bunch of delicious flavors. They give you tons of energy with no jitters and no crash later. Dubby's incredible, you guys. Every scoop of Dubby contains 2 cups of coffee worth of caffeine, but you don't get the jitters, you don't get the crash because there's no sugar. There is no calories. There is no maltodextrin. There's no artificial colors. There's no fillers. It is all natural. It is nothing but B vitamins and amino acids. And then they threw in some nootropics to help keep your reflexes quick and sharp throughout the day. This stuff is amazing. I highly recommend you go over and get it. We drink it all the time here on Orange and Blue Network. I'm telling you, you will not regret it. Make sure you punch in code NRWOB10 at the checkout to get 10% off your order. That's NRWOB10 at the checkout, gets you 10% off. Get the dub without the jitters or the crash. Oh, man. Jay, I am so freaking pumped. I'm so excited right now. Can you say that the stars aligned and the football gods have smiled upon us and have given us quite possibly the closest thing to an easy road to not only going to the playoffs, but winning the division that we could possibly get following our terrible start this season?
We couldn't have picked a better set of circumstances for that last Sunday of football. Obviously the Chargers go down, duh, but the Raiders go down as well, and the Chiefs go down and are imploding before our eyes. So,
my gosh.
there's
You're a
so
monster.
much drama this week about
Oh my gosh,
all the stupid calls from the KC perspective and all the whining and crying and the
Okay.
backpedaling after the
Well,
fact.
can I ask you? Let's just talk about the Chiefs for a second, because right now the Chiefs are still, as we expected, the divisional leader. But
One game.
we are only one game behind them now. One. That means they lose one more and we win one more. We're tied for the division. Mm-hmm. And if we beat the Lions this week, we own the tiebreaker. So because they lost to the Lions. So little things like that. But let's talk about that final call, the one that has the call heard around the world.
Yep.
The one that had Patrick Mahomes abandon the attitude that, from my perspective, I always thought him a very classy, a very upstanding and humble guy. And after watching his antics following the Chiefs' loss to the Bills, I don't know if I feel the same way about the guy anymore.
No, I mean, my favorite meme of the week was the transition. You know how you have 4 pictures and it's slowly blurring into a different photo, and the last photo for Patrick Mahomes freaking out is Jackson Mahomes, and that is as perfect as it comes, because he's showing his true colors of just being a little crybaby, whiny biatch.
That whole, when it doesn't go his way, when the calls aren't going his way, and they're not throwing everything to the Chiefs.
Yep.
You suddenly see the true nature. He's all humble and kind as long as he's winning.
Correct.
And that's the thing is, what is it? We always say that winning is the medicine that heals all, right? But we also find that losing brings out people's true character. So here we are. We've now seen Patrick Mahomes' true colors. And maybe he'll come back from it and he'll be like, "I'm sorry, y'all. It was not cool. It wasn't right. I wish I had done it differently. I don't know. Maybe we will." But the fact that you acted like that in the first place at all just taints it just taints my our vision of you at this point.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that call. Like, obviously this is not Broncos centric, which, by the way, I coined that word this week. While in our group chat talking to Kevin Zano, to Kevin Zano, Broncos centric. It's now a word. Learn it, use it. It's when everything in your universe revolves around the Broncos. It is Broncos centric. All right. So there you go, guys. New word for Broncos country. But let me ask you about that call. So obviously, there are times when the referees will warn guys and be like, "Hey, back up," right? But the argument that was made by Gene Steratore on not during the game, but on Twitter later, was that they do that when it's when you're barely in the neutral zone, like barely. But if it's egregious and it's obvious that you're across that line, they're not going to do that. Now, Kadarius Toney, who, by the way, I still hold is an absolute joke. Literally from the ball of his foot, from behind the ball of his foot forward, we're on that line. So it's not like it was just his toe or just the tip of his cleat. It was half his freaking foot in the neutral zone. And that's why and Gene Steratore postulates that's why they didn't warn him off. So what do you think of that?
Well, let's set some facts straight here, because there's been back and forth of did he check with the ref before the play or not. It showed that he did the motion like he was checking with the linesman, but he didn't even look at the linesman. Like, he just did the motion like he was falling asleep at the play. So, like, even if the ref were to correct him, he wasn't looking. So it really wouldn't have mattered if they did what they say they do sometimes and correct players on the line. He wasn't even looking. So there's that to begin with. Secondarily, on the exact same play, the biggest thing that I throw my arms up is that there was a illegal formation by their right tackle.
Yeah, by the right tackle off on the right side. Yeah,
absolutely. And nobody talks about that. And let me say, that right tackle has been in that illegal formation stance 90% of this year. You see that long stretch. He's the only right tackle I have seen be as egregious as he is with that leg stretched out as far
and play with it, by the way.
Yeah.
So
I don't feel sorry for them at all. There's multiple infractions on that play, and
You know,
they get away
yeah,
with murder on most games for those kind of ticky-tacky calls.
But this time the refs are like, no, we're not just gonna give you a gimme here.
Yeah.
You know, like the rules are in place for a reason. We're enforcing the rules. You know, so and I mean, I will give it to Andy Reid, and I will give it to Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and on that play, even I will give it to Kadarius Toney. If they had done everything right, that as a planned trick play was brilliant.
Yeah,
that was brilliant. If it had worked, and it could have worked. It would have worked if they had just if they'd done it right. He was. I would argue Kadarius Toney was lined up. Was so excited or so focused on the play itself before it had even begun that he wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
You know?
I would agree.
So, I mean, anyway, all that aside, I just wanted to talk about the rules of it. You know, it helps, of course, that it's against the Chiefs. I have no sympathy. But at the same time, I do agree with the refs on this one. It was egregious, and therefore, they're going to call it.
Officiating needs to be more consistent. Chiefs are quick to point out the next play, Von Miller was egregiously offsides when he started. We've seen that a lot out of him. I mean, that's not a uncommon
It's not surprising. He did it a lot when he was in Denver.
He sure did.
So
it's the consistency of calls that, overall need to be improved. But for the Chiefs of all teams to be the crybabies of that they got a bad call and that the refs are against them, that is hilarious because they get the positive side.
It's truly very rare. It's truly very rare that the call doesn't go the Chiefs' way.
They're the NFL darling, so I don't want to hear it from them about how it's unfair. Just a bad look.
It is. So, all right. So moving on from that, let's talk Broncos. So we've already got some of our dear friends, members of the Orange and Blue crew here in the chat with us. We got our buddy Dave Fullglassman saying, "Hey guys, can't stick around, but I will listen later. Saturday pregame? You damn right there will be." He says, Fullglassman says, "We will win out." Woo! I love it.
That's a Fullglassman take there.
You know what's really funny about it? I think I agree with him.
It's setting up that way. I mean, this is kind of our last, as our buddy Nick Kendall said last week, this is our last game of a decent defense.
Yes, and even then, they're not that great of a defense. They've been imploding themselves.
They have. Their secondary specifically, their defensive backs have been constant rotation. They haven't ever had like a gel this entire year from what I've heard. So they're an absolutely beatable defense, very similar to what they had said coming into the Houston game, of that Houston has a pretty good defense, but they are very flawed in certain areas of their defense.
And those are areas that recently we've seen Russ picking apart.
True. And
so I really feel like, this could be, very much our week. I really do. And I'm not just saying that because I'm wearing those orange glasses. Listen, the Broncos have shown us some amazing stuff in the last 7 weeks. Think about that. We have won 6 of our last 7 games.
Yeah.
Like, that's unprecedented.
It's pretty nuts.
Absolutely
pretty
unprecedented.
nuts to think about.
It is when you consider, what we were.
Mm-hmm.
It absolutely is just unbelievable. It feels so good. Our dear friend Kevin Zano, a member of the Orange and Blue Network, he will be returning to us here on Orange and Blue Network with a new show. He's getting away from where we were uploading his episodes of How About Them Broncos, and now there's going to be a new show just for this network, hosted by Mr. Zano, coming up soon. We're working on names and then designs, and once that's done, he will be debuting that show. We also have our awesome friend D-Rock, Shadow Jacker, that guy. God, I've got so many names for you, buddy. He says, will the Broncos evolve into Mustangs in the Ford Motor City? Don't think they need to, buddy. Mustangs have been broken. Broncos are wild and untamed.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. That's a good. I didn't think of that. That's quick club there. That's pretty good stuff.
I'm actually really proud of that. I'm feeling that.
Yeah.
I'm feeling myself tonight. Ah!
Damn it, Johnny!
Oh.
Anyway.
and you're missing one member of the crew here.
Oh well, there he is.
There he is. Out of the
Muhammad
shadows.
Badri, Mr. Mobad, popping in saying, "Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, Mobad. It's good to see you, my friend." So, all right, let's talk about the playoff picture as it stands right now, Jay. Several teams have fallen back in the hunt.
They have.
We've moved up, and now, we're right there with what is it? Three other teams. There's 4 teams with our record vying for that spot.
Isn't it wild? I don't know if you saw this. The Fox Sports power rankings for this week. The Denver Broncos are up to number 7.
7.
Unbelievable. I would love to hear the last time we were top 10 in a power rankings.
Well, I mean, we were top 10 a few weeks ago. We were number 10. But now we're up to number 7, and on top of it, go ahead, ask me where the Chiefs are.
Where are the Chiefs?
Number 11.
Ooh, trouble in paradise.
The Chiefs have literally dropped out of the top 10 in power rankings for week 15. Unbelievable. The Broncos are number 7 in the top 10, and the Chiefs are back below the top 10. When's the last time we were top 10? When was the last time the Chiefs weren't in the top 10?
This is true.
I mean, good Lord, how good does this feel? I love it. Oh,
pretty ridiculous, man.
It is.
I can't believe we're here. And again, I keep banging the drum of this argument here, but like the teams that we're in the thick of this playoff race with suck. Like they're not teams that are like up and coming that like have caught fire and like they're doing extremely well and they're healthy and like all is well. They're all extremely flawed, not very good teams. Other than I'd say Buffalo. I'll give Buffalo their flowers.
Right. I can't remember who it is that plays each other this weekend. I believe it's
like Steelers Colts.
Yeah. Whichever one, both of them, one of them is going to lose, and that loss is going to help us regardless.
Yes. Yep.
So like I said, right now, the road to the playoffs for us look paved. It looks paved.
It does.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Anybody who takes my meaning to me be saying that it's an easy road to the playoffs. No, that's not what I'm saying. This is the NFL. Nothing is easy. What I am saying is, if ever there was a time that everything was aligning for us, as long as we make the right decisions to get there, it's right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, right now you've got in the playoffs. Right now you've got the Ravens at 10-3. They, right now they're sitting there at the number 1 seed, followed closely by the Dolphins at 9-4, then the Chiefs at 8-5. So are the Jaguars. So are the Browns, but the Browns have been imploding, and the Jaguars haven't even looked that great the last few weeks.
No, Trevor Lawrence is hurt, and like
then you have the Steelers and the Colts, both at 7-6, same record as we have. The only reason they're currently holding 2 of the actual playoff spots is because of tiebreakers. But those are things that we can make. That's ground we can make up that they can't. Yeah. So, we actually have a good chance there. Then on the bubble is the Texans. Whatever. The Broncos are 7-6. I mean, the Bengals are 7-6. The Bills are 7-6. So I mean, we're all still vying. There's 4 teams on the bubble right now with the same record vying for that spot. And I'm going to say it right now that 2 of them that have that exact same record that are currently sitting in playoff spots. That is not sealed by any means.
No.
So, where we are right now is very good. It's very exciting. Now I want to ask you, now we know that where we sit in the ultimate playoff picture, with our current ranking at number 7, according to Fox Sports, the Chiefs being below us right now, they don't have that difficult of a remaining schedule either.
They don't. They'll probably win out realistically, I would think.
Realistically, probably. But hey, they've like you said it yourself. They've been imploding.
They are.
So who knows? They could lose a trap game and shock the world.
Totally possible. I mean, they always play the Raiders close. From a and here's one wild card that I still would like to see down the stretch here is the news came out, what was it, yesterday, that Bill Belichick and the Patriots are going to be parting ways. What does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean, though, for the rest of the year for the Patriots? Because the Chiefs go into Foxborough this week. That could easily be another loss if New England and Bill Belichick just isn't going to give up and he's just going balls to the wall for the rest of the year.
Well, I mean, do you think that's going to be him? Do you think that's his style is to go balls to the wall, even though he knows his job is no longer secure?
Absolutely, I think it is. And
that's because he comes from a generation with pride.
Yeah, that doesn't give up and doesn't stop. So, and he's always played, Patrick Mahomes pretty well from a defensive schematic standpoint.
Granted,
so, that's going to be a closer game.
They'll be starting Bailey Zappi.
True.
True. I mean, what happened? Who did the Patriots just beat? And it shocked everybody.
The
Steelers, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. It was straight out of left field that that Bailey Zappi and the Patriots beat the Steelers. And right now, honestly, from what I've been able to see, and I've been watching film so far this week, I've still got a few days left before Saturday to watch some film. The Steelers and the Chiefs haven't been playing that much better than the Steelers, at least not recently. So maybe not a ton a ton better anyway. So who knows? I mean,
we can easily count that Chargers game as a dub because I gave props to him. I like him. Easton Stick. He's a local to Omaha, Nebraska, where I'm at here. Went to Creighton Prep, rival high school. But he is way over his head. So, their season's over. So that should be an easy victory for us. Chalk it up. And you could say the same thing about the Raider game. But, again, you just never know. It's a divisional game. But I don't anticipate the Raiders to really give us tons of
after what we've done to the Chargers, what we've done to the Chiefs, what we've done pretty much except in the last 7 weeks, everybody but the Texans.
Yeah.
At this point, based on the fact that we could come back from that loss to the Texans, play the way we did, I'm going to call the Texans loss an anomaly at this point.
I was going to say we were one play away from coming out of there with a W.
We were.
As bad as that game was for us.
I'm going to call that an anomaly. And anomalies you can't count on, So real quick, we've got more people, more of our orange and blue crew making their predictions here. Well, first of all, D-Rock says, shout out to the NFL script writers. This script is wild.
It is.
I love it. Zeno saying, I say we finish 11-6. Who would the best matchup for us in the playoffs be for the wild card if the Chiefs went out too? Ooh, excellent.
Jacksonville
question.
Jaguars, in my opinion.
That's kind of what I was thinking. But you know how fun it would be if, because obviously Miami right now is fighting. They're still trying to fight ahead to get that number 1 seed and have, home field advantage and a bye week and a bye.
True.
But if they don't get that and they're playing in the wild card, I'm not saying that this is the ideal scenario, but how cool would it be to take on the Miami Dolphins in the wild card round and get our revenge by knocking them out of the playoffs in the wild card?
That would be great.
Oh my gosh,
that would be terrific. But I will say, there are plenty of other teams I'd rather face than the Dolphins. Although
in the wild card, sure.
Yeah.
At least get a win. Let's at least go get a win in the playoffs.
Technically, it's still possible for Cleveland to win that division, which is nuts to me. But Cleveland theoretically could host a playoff game.
They could.
And I'll take that all day long. That would be
because we have the Broncos have incredible road games in Cleveland.
Absolutely.
In our history, we just do. We have great success in Cleveland. Mobad Kevin, Zano is predicting we win out the rest of the season, 11-6. So I'm on board with it. Mobad is kind of agreeing with us. He says we going to dethrone the Chiefs. I mean, I want it, dude. I want
they're
it.
one Travis Kelce injury away from like being pretty knocked down. I mean, that is their entire security blanket of their offense, and he has been hobbled all year. So I mean, it's not inconceivable. I don't know. Could happen.
I love it. I'm excited. I'm excited, Jay. Like, again, we said it on Sunday, pre and post game. The Broncos are playing meaningful football in December.
Yep.
It feels so good. We're above 500. We're one game back from our division, from the division leader. And right now, I'm on cloud 9.
It's been a long time since we've been this deep into a season that, matters. Real long. Like even the Super Bowl year, if you recall, the victory against the Patriots at home in that snow game was really the catalyst in December to like launch us back into like playoffs, because we weren't even a playoff team really before that. So
no, we weren't.
It's crazy we're here, and Sean Payton should be taking a victory lap already.
He deserves that. You feeling that whine a little bit there, Jay?
Well, I don't understand how he doesn't have better odds for Coach of the Year. That is mind-boggling to me.
I can tell you why. Because the NFL hates Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Because the NFL doesn't like Sean Payton. Because the media doesn't like Sean Payton. It's like nobody wants to admit. And of course, because we're the Denver Broncos, we're always going to be overlooked. We could have had an incredible start and gone and been like, gone from what last season looked like, right? And then gone straight into this season and gone 11 or 12 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
Without a 70 burger being laid on us, and without starting the season 1 and 5. And they still would overlook us because we are not the darlings of the media, of the coastal media. We're not the darlings of the NFL. We are always going to be overlooked.
I mean, imagine where we'd be if we didn't F up the first game of the year and the Washington game. Like, just those two easy, winny games. I mean, this whole season would look totally different.
Completely different. We would be at 10 wins right now.
That's nuts. That's insane to me. I just can't believe it. I really can't. And again, we're set up for success. Like, we haven't talked about injuries here, but we got a couple guys nicked up last game. The biggest being Nick Benito. I know that he hasn't practiced, I don't believe.
But I believe that they're expecting him to be able to start, to be able to play, not start because he hasn't been a starter either.
Sure.
But I believe he'll play. Let's look at this right now. The injury report for the week so far.
Dulcich is coming back.
Is he really?
Injured reserve, but he practiced today.
Oh, well, that's pretty amazing. So, right now, Nick Benito did not practice yesterday or today with a knee injury. But, I mean, they could just be taking it easy on him. PJ Locke has that neck issue that he suffered in it. He did not practice either, which that I don't like that. But, again, PJ Locke has just been so shut down. I believe he'll come back. He played in the game. He played in the game through that pain. So, I don't see why he wouldn't at least try to take the field during this one.
When does Jackson come back? Is it next week?
I think so. I think it's after the Detroit game. But I don't know if you saw this. Sean Payton was asked about about PJ Locke and Kareem Jackson coming back and whether PJ Locke has shown enough to stay the starter. And Sean Payton said absolutely. He is absolutely, shown us who he really is and so I don't think K-Jack is going to come back and just take his job back.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. And if they did that, see, like we've said it. I've said it. We've said it since the moment that we got Sean Payton. Sean Payton will always field the best players. Period. You remember before the season even started, how many times I said he's not going to care who you are. He's not going to care what you've done in your past. He's not going to care what your name is, what your pedigree is. If you are not showing up and showing that you are the best at that position, you're going to be riding the bench. Yeah. And I meant it then, and I mean it now. If PJ Locke is showing us that he's the better player, K-Jack's job it's not K-Jack's job anymore.
Well, and I think a perfect representation of that has been the story of Damari Mathis, because I held him in very high regard. I really liked him a lot, but I mean, we haven't heard his name mentioned a lot at all.
Because he hasn't taken the field.
Quite many weeks.
Fabian Moreau came in and has absolutely shown to be a fantastic 1-2 punch back there with Pat Surtain. Yeah. So, it doesn't, again, it doesn't matter. It's not K-Jack can come back, but it's not his job anymore. And I would honestly be shocked if he came back and they gave him the job back right now. Given how good PJ Locke has been, not only in the passing game, but I mean, come on, the blitz game.
Yeah.
As
long as he's healthy, that's my thing. Is if PJ Locke's not good to go, then we probably need K-Jack. Of
course. And then on the other side of that token, he's had so many issues. He's been suspended twice already on the season for 8 games total. I mean, we've played 14 games?
Mm-hmm.
There's been 14 weeks on the season. He's been suspended for 8 of them. That's half the season.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
That's more than half of the season. Why would you just go throwing him back in?
I mean, he's paid more in fines than he's made this year. I think he's netting negative for the year.
And that's something. It is. We do have Zeno popping in saying the report on Bill Belichick isn't 100% accurate, which is kind of what I thought. All the stuff that I was reading and seeing, it wasn't all from reputable sources.
Yeah.
A lot of it
had come out a while ago. Actually, I had seen those same mummers, 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah, and he denied it then, and so I mean, I don't know. We'll see. So a bunch of people saying that they could see Bill. D-Rock said he could see Bill going to Las Vegas. Bill Belichick. I don't know
about that.
Honestly, at this point, if he gets fired, I'm pretty sure someone at his age is just going to retire.
I don't know. You would think that, but he lives and breathes this. He knows no different. Yeah, he doesn't have a life outside of this.
He just looks so. I mean, maybe this is just me reading into it, but he just looks so tired all the time now. Every time you see him, he just looks exhausted.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's he's old. He was 74 now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That's old, man.
It is.
That's how there are people there. His probably half his schoolmates are already dead.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
Well, if he wants a second career, he could be a politician.
Belichick for president.
Yeah. He's got the perfect age.
Deflate America
alive.
Deflate America's balls again.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. So now I don't know. I don't see Bill Belichick going to Las Vegas, and Kevin agreed with that. He said, "What is he going to do? Go to Vegas to coach an injury-prone Jimmy G?" Him and Jimmy G had a falling out. They don't, they don't like each other anymore.
Well, and Tom Brady is a minority owner, so there is that layer to it. But why in the world would Tom Brady and Bill Belichick want to work together again? After what's gone on. So,
yeah, I mean, there's so much that it's amazing after all they did accomplish together, how much animosity the two of them have towards one another now.
Yeah.
It's not like Elway and Shanahan. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Who are still close friends to this day. Kevin says in the playoffs, Broncos at Chiefs to smack them around like last time, but do it in the playoffs. I'd be down.
I would love that. And honestly, if I'm a Chief fan, that's my worst nightmare. Nobody wants us in the playoffs. I guarantee.
Nobody wants us now.
Yeah.
Like
we should scare those upper echelon AFC teams because we've got a great defense and we can run the ball.
I'm pretty sure even after the SmackDown they put on us, the Miami Dolphins don't want to play us now.
I wouldn't think.
Now that we've had our turnaround, I'm pretty sure they're like, oh hell no. And I mean, we could beat the Ravens. I'm not saying that we did decimate the Ravens. The Ravens are very good, and if they finish the season with the number 1 seed, they earned it. They've been playing great football. But I still think we could beat them. It would not be it would be a close game, and it would probably come down to the wire if we were to.
I hate playing in Baltimore. Baltimore's such a hard place to play in.
It is, and I still remember. I'm still recalling back to what year was that when they knocked us out of the playoffs, back in the back in the 2010s.
The Manning's first year.
Yeah, back in 2013.
11. I think 11.
Was
it 11? The year before the Super Bowl. The Seahawks Super Bowl.
I don't remember.
That's the Raheem Moore.
I was in the Army at the time. That's how I have to base it, Yep. So whenever it was, I'm sitting here remembering that day. My parents were in town. In Georgia visiting, and we went to my favorite sports bar. At that time, it was called Buffalo's. It's called Gatta's now. This is down in Hinesville, Georgia, and and my parents went with us, and we were having some food. I was all broncoed out and enjoying the game, drinking and eating. And I remember that long pass that Joe freaking Flacco flung down the field. I don't remember who got the reception, and it sealed the game. And I remember just screaming and getting kicked out of the bar.
Yeah, I think it's Jacoby Jones or something. It might have been.
It might have been Jacoby Jones.
That irks me more than I think any play in Broncos history.
Yeah,
I was just crushed by that.
It was devastating, especially after the year that they'd had with Peyton. We'd seen magic, we'd seen miracles performed with Tim Tebow, but then the year before, but then we got to see Peyton Manning come in and not see miracles but magic.
Yeah,
and we thought we were on the way, and then the Falcons, the Ravens just knocked us out, and it was so painful. Anyway, getting back off memory lane.
Yeah, I was gonna say, to put that to bed, first week the next year, that was Manning's 7 touchdown game against Baltimore opening night.
It was.
So
yes, it was.
F him.
And speaking of Manning, did you see that? 2 things on Manning for this week, because Manning is still absolutely, royalty in Denver. First of all, Eli's still giving him crap on the Manning cast for his use of the word "us" and "we" when it comes to the Broncos.
Yeah,
he's still doing it, and I'm still all here for it. I love it. But then on top of it, did you see that he asked Mike McDaniels to come on Manning cast, and what Mike McDaniels' response was? Okay, so Peyton Manning, called Mike McDaniels and said, "Hey, you want to come and be our, because how when they're doing their live, Monday Night Football Manning cast, they have different guests pop in and talk during." He asked Mike McDaniels, like, would you be willing to come on and be a guest on Manning cast? And Mike McDaniels, and it was quoted this way with the bleeps, "Of course I would. You're Peyton bleeping Manning, or you're bleeping Peyton Manning." Or, he literally said, "Bleep yes, you're bleeping Peyton Manning." So, I mean, like, how cool? How cool? I mean, knowing that Mike McDaniels has his history, and he got his start in Denver, that just feels good. It
does.
And good for him with what he's doing in Miami. I mean, second year and what he's doing. Good for him.
Well, and he may have made an if we do end up seeing them again. He literally brought out all his trick plays and all his stops against us in that 70-point victory. Yep. Whereas most coaches shut it down. He showed us everything. So that might come back to bite him.
It might. So looking, let's see. Let's get a few more comments here, and then on to the next subject. We've got D-Rock popping in saying VJ for assistant coach of the year. I can see it.
Is there really an assistant?
Well, you know what? Here's what I would
award?
I would see it if there was a comeback assistant coach of the year.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to get the vote to be the assistant coach of the year, but he definitely has. I think he's definitely done enough to secure his job and stay here. At this point, I don't think any of us are calling for his head anymore.
If that was a thing, I'd honestly probably say Brian Flores for the Vikings should probably get that. Their defense is nutso.
Yeah, it's because their defense is so weird.
It is. You can't. It's unlike any other defense.
Do you remember there was a show that was on when we were kids, Jay? And I'm about to show our age. It was it was called Smart Guy.
Oh yeah, Taj Mowry.
Yeah, Taj Mowry, little black kid, genius, going to a public high school. It was great. There was an episode of Smart Guy where, this guy comes who's invented a chess-playing computer, which, of course, nowadays is not shocking to us. But back in the 90s, that was still kind of a thing. Yeah. And, he was claiming that it couldn't be beaten. And then the kid, TJ, Taj Mowry, Smart Guy, he takes it on once and loses. And he's supposed to be a chess genius because he's a genius in everything, right? And then it hits him. The key to winning against that computer is to make moves that make no sense. Is to make chess moves that make absolutely no sense to the computer. And then the computer's like, it can't. And then the computer's sitting there, cannot compute, shorts out, and he wins the chess match. That's what Brian Flores' defense does. He's calling all these insane, absolutely just unreadable plays on defense, and you can't prepare for him because of it.
Yep. Ultimate boomer bust defense.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. D-Rock talking about the fact that Greg Dulcich is back. The hair is back. Here on this network, we call him Pantene. I thought herbal essences for a little while, but I'm okay with Pantene. I like Pantene.
I hope he gets highlighted, much like Kroll has coming out of nowhere. I hope we at least just use him. It doesn't matter if he's suited up. We need to use him.
That pass to Kroll in the Texans game inarguably cost us the win.
Yeah.
But he made a couple of catches against the Chargers on that picked up some good chunk yards.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in a way he redeemed himself, I think, don't you?
Yeah, no, I would say so. He's a good player. It's just we just need more. We just need way more from that position. Yeah. I don't remember who set it up here, but I'm still waiting on the Zach Ertz train.
Why in the heck hasn't he been signed somewhere?
I don't know. Oh, it's D-Rock.
D-Rock waiting on it.
Yeah. No.
Why are we waiting on it? But on top of that, why is the rest of the NFL waiting on it?
It's got to be he's waiting for it. He's waiting another week to just make sure he's signing with a true contender, would be my guess.
I mean, at this point, dude, just go sign. Just go sign. But anyway, we're a little bit behind on the comments, guys. I do apologize. We get to talking, and sometimes I just forget, and I'm sorry. Our good friend, the Don, Micah Donthanier, the resident Raiders fan, who just happens to be a member of the Orange and Blue crew, he comes in talking about back on Bill Belichick for a second. He says, I can see him coaching college. I can't. I don't think you can go from the kind of pride that man takes in himself. I don't think you go from the top of the mountain down to the foothills. I'm just saying. So now I'm out on that. Avatar, our good friend Avatar, has finally popped in.
There he is.
A little bit ago. He popped in a little bit ago, and I do apologize again for being a little bit behind on our comments. He says, "What's up, Broncos country and 2023 NBA champ Denver or Nuggets Nation?" Absolutely love it. There you go. And I'm not even going to get into Jokic getting ejected last night. That was bull and disgusting. When
somebody had a bet. Somebody had money on some line in that game, I'm convinced.
It had to be, because LeBron James has said things like similar to what he said that one time to the ref and never gotten called for a tech.
D-Rock, you watch your mouth.
Yeah, you definitely watch your mouth, sir. Ugh. Anyway, Jokic to eject Jokic the way they did on Serbian appreciation night in Chicago. Dude, that's really messed up, man.
And
So-
don't you love his post-game comment was, they're all lucky that we're not playing in Serbia because people would have absolutely killed them outside the arena. Like,
It's true. It is Serbia. I mean, like Jokic looks like such an unassuming guy, but I'm pretty sure he could mess up anybody.
oh yeah, the Jokic brothers, all of them.
Oh
Every
my God!
single one of them.
Who was it? What was that feud? Who was the feud with the Miami Heat? Morris,
It was
the Morris brothers,
with the twins, yeah,
the Morris brothers.
Morris twins.
Yeah, man, that feud when they like literally showed on TV and the Morris twins stood up in the crowd and all of a sudden up stood the Jokic brothers over on this side. You got Morris and Jokic on the court. Two brothers over here, and you actually watch the camera pan between them like, what's about to happen?
Yeah.
And I actually expected like them, like the Jokic brothers, not the Morris twins. I expect them to run.
Yeah.
I expected the Jokic brothers to tear across the floor, jump up into the stands, and just lay them out. It was crazy. Let's see. So Mike is the Don says he just got back from Georgia himself. All right. Well, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I hope the mosquito birds didn't bite you too hard. I loved parts of Georgia, but the mosquitoes the size of sparrows was the whole reason I will never move. I would never live there again. Yeah. Avatar is asking about what we think about that Manning Bud Light commercial where he's passing the Bud Lights across the bar. Well, I will say this, given the fact that Bud Light has kind of become a pariah due to some of their worldviews that they openly expressed, that them doing commercials like that is them trying to save their.
See, my take was that he had his exact like throwing motion in that commercial. Like he wasn't playing around. Like you could see his like.
Yeah, he was throwing beers.
The typical Manning like posture with the ball, hilarious.
Oh, absolutely. And Don comes up about Smart Guy. I remember that show. That's right. It was such a good show. It's right up there. It's like one of those great black sitcoms from the 90s. There was, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. There was Smart Guy, Sister.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
All of them, man. They were so good. I missed those. Love those shows. Okay. Kevin Zano saying, hell yeah, D-Rock, Lakers. Zano, you're fired. No, I'm just kidding. Or am I? Yeah, Avatar says the Sand Gnats were worse, and he's not wrong. They are. The Sand Gnats were terrible. They, because you get 1,000 bites, like at once, and they would welt up, and it's terrible. Oh yeah, Don says Family Matters, but that was more the 80s, maybe early 90s. That Family Matters really hit the scene
too.
But anyway, okay, so my next topic I want to bring up. I think I've caught us up on our comments. So now that I've caught up, I'm going to try to keep up, guys. I do apologize. Here we go. Let's talk about this game. We're at 48 minutes right now. Let's talk about the Detroit game. All right. So I don't know if you saw today, Jay, some of the comments made by Dan Campbell about Sean Payton.
Yeah.
So what have you seen and what have you heard?
Well, it's just that Dan Campbell, really respects Sean Payton and he's scared of him. He's a wily vet coach that knows exactly how to take advantage of other teams' weaknesses. And, I think it's pretty apparent that Jared Goff has quite a bit of weaknesses, to go after. So,
and definitely recently.
Yeah.
And the thing is, talking about Dan Campbell, I mean, he got his start under Sean Payton. He is Sean Payton's disciple, his apprentice, if you will, his Padawan. So now we're going to see a battle in coaching between the Jedi Master and the Jedi Apprentice. And, the thing is, like, he actually said out loud, Sean's coming here to embarrass us.
Yeah.
He's going to come here with every intention of embarrassing us. And I'm here for it. Let's do it. They did it, I don't know what you think. I personally found what we did in the game against the Chargers, I found it to be a lot of it to be a statement. We didn't have to keep layering it on the way we did towards the end of the game. We didn't.
True.
Granted, we did let them score in garbage time. I mean, it sucked, but whatever. They did get points on the board. But we had that game. There was no question the Broncos were going to win. You didn't need to keep layering it on. But continuing to bring, VJ just still dialing up those blitzes from the secondary and the blitz, and the inside blitzes and all of it to just continue to layer it on. That was a statement, right? And I think Sean Payton has full intention of using the Lions game in the same way. Let's make a statement to the NFL. What do you think?
Well, to that point, Johnny, a little sneak peek of a segment that will have game day, but right now the over-unders for this game, 46.5 opening up. Very high. Higher than last game. So that goes right into what you're saying, is we are now considered, this is bizarro world, a high-scoring offense. It's just
even though we rarely, like, ultimately we keep it below 25. We do.
But, yes, but we're consistently not low-scoring now.
No, they're not low-scoring games anymore.
Yeah.
And you can't expect them to be. One thing, Isaiah and I were talking earlier today. He did apologize. He wanted to make it a 3-man show tonight, but he is still trying to figure out his internet issues. You guys, like he changed providers again in an attempt, to speed things up with his internet, and I don't know if it's where he lives or what that's being the problem.
The guy needs a booster,
something, but. Anyway, well, I mean, on top of it, forwarding the equipment to get like a booster and stuff, that's not cheap.
It isn't.
And so right now, he's doing his best. He does love you guys, and he can't wait to come back. But anyway, we were talking earlier today, and we were talking about Jared Goff, and I actually went in. I couldn't just find the stat. I actually went in and had to go into the stats and find these myself. So in his career, Jared Goff, for the most part, was very good with protecting the ball. I think he has a 4-to-1, career-wise, he has a 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. So about 25%. It is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, in 2023, the guy has thrown 21 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. So right now, he's actually at 47% when it comes to the touchdown to interception ratio. So that's the kind of thing that a secondary like our secondary can feast on. A guy who's almost right at 50% of touchdowns to interceptions. We can feast on Jared Goff. And if VJ continues to bring the heat the way he has been out of from the interior, from the secondary, I mean, good Lord, dude, because Lee is terrible under pressure.
This is true. Now, one thing I will give them that we haven't necessarily seen in the past couple opponents is their running attack is legit. David Montgomery and then Gibbs. I can't remember.
I was going to say Gibbs.
They're dang good. Like, they're very good 1-2 punch.
But honestly, that except for Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is decent as a receiver, but I mean, honestly, we have Pat Surtain. Do we really think that he's not going to shut Amon-Ra St. Brown down? I don't. Not scared. So the only arrow that I think the Lions have in their quiver for this game is their run game.
I agree.
Because their defense hasn't been anything special, at least not in the last 6-7 weeks. They started the season on fire. Their defense did, and then they've just literally if you were to make a line graph out of it, it's just tapered, just steadily down. So yeah, and Don, I'm not shocked that the internet's down where you are. I'm so thankful that you're okay. For those that don't know, me and Isaiah and Don, we all live in Tennessee, and the area where the three of us live got pounded by tornadoes on Saturday. Absolutely just pounded. Me and Isaiah and my family, we're all okay. They went around us, But Don over there at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, Fort Campbell in Clarksville, Tennessee, the Oak Grove, Kentucky area, they had an F4 tornado touch ground in the city. There's a lot of destruction. There's a lot of people dead and injured. And so right now it's kind of scary over there. So Don, I'm not surprised the internet's still down for you. But I am very glad that right now you and pretty much everybody that I know of, that I still know on Fort Campbell, is okay as well. So I'm very thankful for that. And prayers for the rest of everybody that was affected by the tornadoes that hit Tennessee this week. Weird for December. Really weird for December. But anyway, but back to the point at hand. I feel like if we can continue to just bring the heat, you continue to bring the heat against Jared Goff, who historically across his whole career, not just like this year or last year, whole career, he crumbles under pressure. So if you have a team that can continue to, and they don't have the greatest offensive line either.
No, they don't.
So
isn't our boy Glasgow back there? I think he went back to Detroit.
He might be. I think he might be.
But yeah, I mean they're not a finished product. I mean, my God, they just lost to the Chicago Bears, so they're not a well-polished machine. But I will say they have a lot of incentive in this game because they have their hands cut out for them with the Packers getting quite a bit of momentum here going. I mean, they're right in the thick of their whole playoff chase as well. So they're highly incentivized at, very similar to, I think, the Houston game. Not maybe as big a deal for that team, but it's going to be a big game for both teams.
Yeah, I saw something somewhere, and I can't remember where I saw it, and I meant to save it, and I never did, that showed the Broncos' odds of making the playoffs with this win versus their odds of making the playoffs without. But right now, honestly, it's not like when we went up against the Texans, and I said that if we'd won, our chances of making the playoffs were like 58%. But if we lost, our chances became like 20-something%. Mm-hmm. We live in a completely different world than we lived in 2 weeks ago. And not just because of our own accomplishments in this last week, but because of the way that the whole week fell for the entire NFL. Now, the Broncos actually stand about an 82% chance of making the playoffs if we win against the Lions, and still like a 73% chance of making the playoffs, even if we lose to the Lions this week. But again, there are so many teams fighting for that spot right now that I'm going to continue to say this is a must-win game. Every week right now, because we dug ourselves in that hole so early in the season, every game is now a must-win game.
It is. It definitely is. But as you said on post-game, if you're going to surrender a loss, it's good to be an NFC loss, if any. There's no good loss, but this might be the better of any of the other losses.
Okay, here's the thing. If we get this win, we own a tiebreaker over the Chiefs because they lost to the Detroit Lions.
Week 1.
So so if we win against Detroit, that is a tiebreaker that can be taken into consideration for the division against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it will be, but it can be. So I'm going to continue to say every single week, this is a must-win game.
Yeah.
So,
it's a big one. It's a big one. And I was actually even incorrect with the over/under. It's 47.5. It started at 46.
Okay,
so it's heading that direction.
Standing right now,
craziness.
Let me see. Hang on, I'm pulling this up real quick. Where do the Lions stand in those power rankings? We were talking about the power rankings earlier.
While you bring that up, I did want to give a quick shout out. If you haven't, check out this week's edition of the DNVR Broncos podcast, as they had special guest, the Bash Brothers, Josie Jewell and Alex Singleton on the podcast. It was classic. They were throwing out F-bombs and just being how you would think those guys would be on a podcast. Hilarious stuff.
I'm trying to find this real quick, guys. I'm sorry. Give me just a second here. But I can tell you right now, just looking at it, I'm not seeing the Detroit Lions even in the top 10 with the number 11. I was wrong. Where were the Chiefs? Okay, so this actually currently has the Chiefs sitting at number 9 in the power ranking. The Broncos number 7. So maybe I was a little bit off there. The Chiefs are at 9. The Broncos are at 7, but the Broncos are still sitting in the number 7 in the power rankings. And this week's matchup against the Detroit Lions, they are sitting at number 11 in the power rankings. So we have a chance. What is I know again we'll talk about it on Sunday, Jay. Who is currently Vegas? Has the Vegas odds to win this?
The Detroit Lions by 4 points.
By 4 points.
4 points.
So after what you've taught me about the money line being they get a 3-point a 3-point jump just for being the home team. Right now Vegas kind of holds them at a 50-50 stance as 1-point favorites to win this.
Yeah, but still favoring Detroit, and I think that's probably right, based upon how these teams are for their overall records and such. So I don't think that's crazy. I
don't think it's crazy, but I do think they have taken a step back and we've taken a massive leap forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, when you take a step back, a leap forward puts you ahead. I think we got this.
Yeah. If we just keep sticking to our game plan, that's the thing. And, we won the turnover battle last game. That is really the biggest recipe for success.
We did win the turnover battle. And as always, every week we talk about the keys. One of the keys to winning, the keys to success is run the damn ball, right? Well, the Detroit Lions don't field one of the better run defenses in the NFL either. We certainly don't, but neither do they.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as we can keep it up and our offensive line does their job and protects Russ, I think, for the pass game, I think we're going to be okay. I really do. So I'm excited about it, Jay. I'm so excited for it. We will have pre and post game on Saturday. Yeah. You gave a shout out. I'm going to give another shout out, but this one's an internal shout out for the Orange and Blue Network to those still watching. Our good friend, you've seen him in the chat before. You've probably seen him in the past. A 6'10" Mexican, Don Diaz, a good friend of ours, former co-host of mine when I co-hosted his show, Broncos Talk, on our former network that we were part of. He also is no longer on that network. So I am proud to announce here on Orange and Blue Network that Broncos Talk is making its comeback. Its official comeback here on the Orange and Blue Network. It will still be hosted by a 6'10" Mexican, Don Diaz, but it will also now feature co-host Ty Y. Tunis. Mr. Ty Y, good friend, great co-host on this network. The two of them are about to do amazing. The two of them are about to do amazing things on this network. So, guys, just like I told you, the new show by Kevin Zano will be coming out on the network here. We will also be welcoming an old show, but new to the network, Broncos Talk, right here on Orange and Blue Network in the coming weeks. Hopefully within the next 2 weeks. Hopefully, that's the plan. Very excited. Very excited. So I think it's time we get the F out of here, Jay. What do you feel?
Yeah, we got crushed goblins.
We got them kids. Them kids got to get to bed, man. I definitely need to. I'm very excited, and I can't wait to see you on Saturday. Can't wait to see all of you pre-game and post-game on Saturday. A Saturday game. It's so weird.
It is weird,
but you know what? It's cool because it's never been done before. This way, 3 games on a Saturday, never been done before.
Yeah, that is strange. They used to have, one game on Saturday, but it is weird to have an entire full slate.
A full slate of games on a Saturday. I love it. I'm here for it. So, guys, we will see you on Saturday here on the Orange and Blue Network, 1 hour before game time. It is the prime time game. So get ready for us to be 1 hour, an hour before game time, live here on Orange and Blue Network as we get ready for a Saturday night primetime matchup between the Denver Broncos and the Detroit Lions. Do not forget to check us out after the game, almost immediately, within about 10-15 minutes of the end of the game as well, for the Buck Your Feelings post-game show hosted by that dude over there. It's going to be a lot of it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to really enjoy ourselves. Guys, thank you for joining us here on the Orange and Blue Network tonight for Nothing Rhymes with Orange and Blue. We appreciate each and every one of you that added your comments, and even to those that did not comment, we thank. Excuse me. Hey, wow.
Speaking of comments, Johnny, we got one in here. Joe Mannix, I believe.
That's a new name.
Yeah.
And I am out of beer, so Jay, please toast him for me with your wine.
Swish my wine around there for
That's
you,
right. Joe. Here's an empty beer bottle. Here's to you, my friend. Welcome to the Orange and Blue crew. Can't wait, hope to see you. We're getting ready to get out of here, so we hope to see you live on Saturday, pre and post game, to talk about to talk Broncos. Okay. If you have not already, please, guys, like, subscribe, share, and comment. We would really appreciate it, guys. Find us on all of our social media. We're on Facebook. We're on X. Find us on YouTube if you haven't already. Subscribe, hit that thumbs up, ding that notification bell so you know when we go live, and also make sure that you check us out wherever you listen to your favorite audio podcasts, be it iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, Spotify. We're on all of them. So please check it out, guys. We appreciate you, and we would appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and get out of here, but we will see you on Saturday, pre and post game, for Broncos versus Lions. With that being said, guys, I'm just going to give you a big old mile-high salute, and I'm going to say the words that I don't care who likes it or not. Let's ride!